we stopped? What are we studying in the book of Acts?
Studying about Paul.
We're not just studying Paul, we're studying the life of Christ. Christ died on a cross. Between them two thieves, his mama was there. His daddy, I guess, died because he wasn't there. Well, I doubt if he was around. And then you got the other two Marys. There was, what's in the two women? Mary Magdalene. She was filled with 7 devils. Of course, I know some guys have been filled with about 700. So, of course, I still know some women that have devils. And then, he died. What happened when he died? Night came. Temple. The church building, the temple was cracked in half. Big crack from the top to big crack all the way to the bottom. You could see it had been cracked. Them Jews had designed that building that it would last forever. It was never going to go anywhere. But because when Christ died, that building, it also was no longer religion. We no longer needed that building. Religious building was no longer needed. The law was no longer needed. Now we're not under the law, we're under grace. Why do we have the law? This is a good wake-up question. While you wake up, I get a drink of my coffee. Why? Come on, you got to think now. This is thinking time. Put your thinking caps on. Why, Seth? What's your answer?
So we can have rules. Without rules, there is no order.
You got to have law. And the reason you got to have law is because you cannot have everybody drive down the freeway at any mile speed that they want. I've been to Europe, and I've been there several times. Even on the Autobahn, they make you drive a certain way, and there's a certain point. You cannot just go any amount of speed that you want. That's a myth. When you get to a certain section of it, they make you slow down. Why? Curve up ahead. Why? Town up ahead. Why? If everybody just decided I'm just going to drive as fast as I can, it don't matter. I got me a Lamborghini. I can do 200 plus. I'm just going to just rock back and forth, and everybody said the same thing. Guess what happened? We'd have more wrecks and more broken cars and more people busted up. Why? Because they didn't follow the law. You put a speed limit to try to keep the flow of traffic going. Now, the law is supposed to be for your benefit. For instance, in the old days, if a man was caught in a house with another man's wife, that man had every right to shoot him. keep down on fornicating. And if she walked in and saw her husband messing around, then she had every right to kill him. Why? It was the law. Well, if it was of the law, it was simply so that we wouldn't have a bunch of bank robbers. You don't want bank robbers out there, stealing your stuff, right? I mean, here you worked hard, you worked and worked and worked, and then all of a sudden you come home and then there's somebody there and they're sitting on your chair and they're eating your food and they're sleeping on your bed. Wait a minute, that's shady. You little robber. There you go. There you have this person come in and move in, and you didn't invite him. Now, we did invite the dog. Let me tell you the story. Susie begged and begged. Daddy, 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 can I have the dog? Can I have the dog? I said, check and see if it's got a collar. No. I said, check and see if it's a neighbor's dog. She got out, looked, she asked, no. She had flies and ticks and all kinds. She looked like a mess. We had to shave her. She needs another shaving. She needs a good shaving now. I may shave you tonight. So anyway, you have all these different kind of laws that you got to have. The law is a schoolmaster. You know what going to school is, right? What's it supposed to do? It's supposed to smarten you up. You're supposed to smarten up. That's what the schoolmaster made. That's the school was to teach you. 1 + 1 is 2. 2 + 2 is 5. 5 + 5 is 7. Everybody knows that.
5 + 5 is 10.
What? You weren't paying attention. How about that? So the book of Acts and this whole Bible that you have here in your hand, right here, see, it says Holy Bible. I can see this one's been well written. Like it's been well worn out, but nobody's read it. This is the book of eternal life. It's been called the love letter from God. It is a love letter from God to you, so to tell you how much God loves you. It's also a letter of history. It is a letter of consequences. Those that are going to heaven, those that are going to hell. What happens if you do right? What happens if you do wrong? It is a historical, all historical events. This is, I would put it in my calendar book. Now this is my own philosophy, so don't get me wrong. It told, way in the back, who was the first guy? Noah. To replenish the earth, right? What does replenish mean?
Have children.
What does replenish mean?
Start over.
Start over. That's it. Start over. So if I was a historian and I found this book, I would say this is book number 2. There is a book number 3. We won't know about it till we get to heaven. But it keeps going. It's a series. You ever read them series, the books and chapters and so forth? I used to love an author by the name of Robert Jordan. And he had more stories. He probably had about a dozen and they just kept writing them. And they had some characters that they would write about, and they were called serial novels. A serial novel was someone was in the book, always. Always. Most of the time they did right. Now if it was a girl novel, usually they always fell in love. I love you, baby. I love you so much. But you know, regardless of the book continued. This Bible has been around here for 2,000 years. This Bible here has, from the generation when I got it, from now, has just been a small amount of time. This book's been around for thousands of years. Jesus Christ died 2000 in 1611. About 400 years ago, somebody decided, let's print it. We finally invented the stuff to print. So what we're trying to teach you is not just education, but also we're trying to teach you so that hopefully some of that Christianity will go inside of you and you can cipher. You know what ciphering is? Ciphering is adding, 2 + 5 is 9. Stuff like that, You know what I mean? That's ciphering. That's ciphering. That's what the old timers used to call it, ciphering. Ciphering. So you had to learn to cipher. Acts 24, chapter number 1, we see that Paul is back in prison again, him. And Ananias, the high priest, has come in. We remember that Ananias, turned around and told them to hit him. And then he turned around, Paul said, why did you hit me? You're not supposed to be hitting me. You're just a white seed. What worthy deeds have I done to deserve this? So he's talking back. And he sees the room. Remember, this is knowledge. This is knowledge. You will learn knowledge. You're going to learn this. And you're either going to learn street smarts, which is this, or you're going to wind up getting hurt. Let's say there's a fight. Well, us 12 can take them guys on. And 12 guys are all looking at each other going, why do you count me? I ain't fighting for them. And then the 12 people take off, and there's you and your 2 best buddies, and then they say, man, there's 15 guys over there. We can't fight the 15 guys. There's only 3 of us. Let's go. That's what it is called ciphering. Is this something I should do? Is this the odds on my side? And sometimes the odds are not on your side. Now, if you're a Christian, God is always there. And God said, I'll never leave thee nor forsake thee. And God said that He would always be with you. But at the same time, He gave you some sense. He gave you a mind to think. We are studying the book of Acts so that you can get an account of the Bible, so that you can realistically be able to tell somebody, this is what happened. Jesus died on the cross. There was a church started. Everybody was scared to death. They started in Jerusalem. They let go of Peter from prison. Peter comes out. Paul's out there chasing Christians, killing them. And of all the people that God uses, who does He choose? He uses this wild, crazy man that goes around killing Christians to start a church. He's our first missionary. Missionaries got to be wild people because they're crazy. Every missionary I've ever met has been crazy. Did you know I've met missionaries that have slept on the floor? And they would sleep on the floor everywhere they went when they went out presenting their work, and they would do that for a year, 2 years, 6 months. I mean, they would do that. You say, why? They were preparing their mind and their body and getting ready to endure. So when there was no air conditioning, guess what? You're not used to air conditioning. My mom, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, not me, I'm spoiled. They had no air conditioning. So here I am, going to impress Miss Connie, take Miss Connie out, bring her some flowers, going to take her out, and I am sweating like a dog. You say, why? I wasn't used to it. They were all natural. Not a drop of sweat on them. You say, why? They got used to it. See, we have a yard out, way out there, and people go out there and they work on the yard, you know, and they fix pallets. We don't provide air conditioner outside. If you're going to work for me, and you're going to be an outside worker, if you're lucky, you might run the forklift. You might load and unload trucks. The ones that are unlucky will do physical labor. Pick this up, put that down. Pick this up, put that down. Pick this up, put that down. That is physical labor. This Bible will tell you everything that you need in life. How to make money, how to have a relationship, how to own possessions, and it's okay to own possessions. Abraham was a rich man. Even when they stole all his stuff, they took everything he had, killed all his family, you know, they killed all your brothers, they killed all your sons and your daughters. God was just testing him. And so Mrs. Abraham had to come up with some more children. I'm supposing it was Mrs. Abraham, right? So if she had a dozen the first time, I think it's 2 dozen the second time. If I get my numbers right, I may not be right on that, you know, but I think I am. And she had to have 2 dozen. You got twice as much gold, twice as much silver, twice as much, you know. There's only so much, you know, you can eat. I mean, you know, or you wind up getting fat, and you know, you wind up being bigger and bigger like me, you know. So as far as I'm concerned, I mean, I try to have 1 meal a day. That's good enough for me. I really don't need another meal because, honestly, I eat too much. When I have that 1 meal, that's it. You know. And why are we on the book of Acts? To study the life of Paul. Why are we studying the life of Paul? To get something. Not just learn history, but to put that history in your life. I see 2 crowds of people in this room. Now what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to get that crowd against this crowd, and I'm going to get them to stop it because they both hate me right now. And so I'm going to make them stop that. Well, I believe believe in the resurrection. Hey, we do too. I believe in, and when you die, you go to heaven. Well, we do too. When we die over here, we go back to dust. We go back to being nothing. We don't believe that. And so they started arguing back and forth. And Paul was good at doing things like that. Why? It was knowledge. It was more than knowledge. It was learning how to do things and putting things together. I've said it 1,000 times, said it 1,000 times more. If you want to be the head of the company, you can be the head of the company. You can be the boss. You grow up. You show up early. You work all day. You stay late 15 minutes. You show up early 15 minutes. You will run the company. The company wants to know, can we depend on them? Now, if the company's going, find out where you can find Susie. Susie, no. Susie, no. Susie. Guess what? You know what happens? We can't depend on you. Can't depend on you. We need people we can depend on. And people that God can depend on, God will also call to the ministry. God will never call a lazy man to the ministry. Jack Wood's daddy used to say that. Why? What would he do with it? He said, what would he do with it? He said, well, I'd love to start a church. Well, I would like to start a church too. You know how you start a church? Go out there and start knocking on doors. Inviting people to start coming to church. Finding a building. It's not just a building, it's a church. Chuck Colson. Not Chuck Colson on TV, but another Chuck Colson up in Canada. He started his church in his house. He built it to 100 people. Because 100 people wanted to hear him talk. Speak. Find out what the wisdom of God was. Now, if you don't go out and... how many of these neighbors right here have you invited? Have y'all invited anybody yet? Well, it's kind of hard to, start a church if you don't invite. Yeah, but that's not Gunrum. We're not there no more. We don't have a church there no more. We got a church here. Now it's time to start inviting around here. And the church is going to be built here. That's where you start your church. And Paul, he said, I never started where someone else already had started. He would start a church, he would find a pastor, and he would leave. And he'd start another church. It might take him 15 years to build that church up. Why? Because Paul was a missionary. Everybody was different. Paul would see situations and see, how can I use this for my benefit? Now, don't be one of those little guys that stab you in the back and say, how can I look at this situation and me gain by it? What can I do in this situation because I like that girl, but she's dating that guy? All right? You don't do that. All right? Leave them alone. Find your own. Trust me. There's thousands of them. I mean, there's a bunch of them in the ocean. All right? A bunch of fish, okay? There's a bunch of them, all right? but you want the one that God has provided for you. So you go out there. Paul is now divided these two groups. He's told them, we believe in the resurrection, you don't. They have to lock them up. They have to put them away. Felix comes in there. And he said, guess what? I'm going to get involved. I'm the head honcho. I'm the king around here. I'm going to figure out what should I do with this man. And the chief captain came down. He said, what do you want us to do? He said, I'll tell you what I want to do. He said, I want to go see Caesar. Because there's no justice here. In America, we have several courts. Do you know that? Several courts. Now, Texas, we have an expressway. You didn't know that either, did you? In Texas, we send more people to the death chamber than any other state in the United States. You know why? Because we got a fast pass. You got a fast pass lane, you can pass the line. Just go on up front and we'll just go ahead and knock you out and you'll be gone. Paul, on the other hand, he says, now if I get on the fast pass, they're going to kill me. God done told me he's going to use me some more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to appeal to Caesar. Appeals are good. I had a preacher one time. He had a great wife. Great wife. He got in a country, I think it's Paraguay, I can't remember the name of the country now. But they have, it's like Colombia. And they got cattle. It's wild. It's like the old Wild West days. They had wild cattle. They would round them up. They would sell them. Belonged to nobody. It was just wild. Wild horses. They'd run them up. They'd break them. And then they'd bring them back. Well, he wound up getting in trouble. He wound up going to prison. He got in a lot of problems. His wife went back to America, sat on Washington Street, and they said, what are you doing here, Miss Woods? Miss Wyvon? My husband is a preacher. You're our congressman. You're our representative. And you four guys are supposed to be helping me. And I want my husband back because he didn't do nothing wrong except give some convicts some water because he was merciful on some men that were going to be condemned. And they got mad at him and put him in prison. You know, she did that for a long time. You know what she did? She got him out. Why? She used that. She looked everything around, saw everything that was going around, and used it to her advantage. You have to be able to look around. What can I do? Then you got to ask God this. This is the most important. What do you want me to do, God? You want to help? You want to help Humble? Great. You want to help Conroe? There's a church in Conroe I know. You want to hurt New Caney? There's a church over there too. There's a bunch of them. There's churches everywhere. You want to help Pastor Lupe? Fine. You don't want to help Pastor Lupe? That's fine too. But you got to ask God, what am I supposed to do? looking at everything around you and figuring out, what should we do? What should I do? Paul did it. Miss Yvonne did it. Guess what? God wants you to do it. He wants you to look around, and He wants you to look around and say, okay, Lord, if this is what you want me to do, what I want to do. Every head bowed. Lord, I pray for these young people.